Welcome back. I think this is the fourth episode of the Game Changing Podcast. I'm so excited today. We got a ton to talk about. I'm talking a boatload of stuff to talk about. Let's get started. Sorry I've been gone. I haven't been posting in a long time, but I'm back, and it's going to be better than ever. And we're going to have a long stretch here where a lot of podcasts going to be coming out. Trust me on that. But let's get started. Since I've been gone, MLB went to the World Series. NFL started. We had the NBA Finals. I want to start with the NBA Finals first off. So just looking at some stats here. Congrats to the Lakers. Big time win. They played great. Little unfair match. They weren't going to lose that unless something crazy happened. But sometimes you play down to your opponent, and they didn't do that. They held strong, and they got the job done. But LeBron James is what I really want to talk about. I know some of y'all out there may not want to hear about him, so you can leave if you want. But stay around if you want to hear about what LeBron James had to offer. Another Finals MVP. This is his fourth Finals win in 10 appearances. Not good, but still his fourth Finals win. He averaged 30 points, 12 rebounds, 8.5 assists in those 6 games. That is freaky numbers out of a dude that is 35 years old and in year 17 in the league. That's something you don't see very often. We're witnessing greatness. And while he's still not the GOAT by any means, because Michael Jordan's got that locked up until LeBron gets 6. So I do think, I want to touch on this for a minute. If LeBron James were to get 6, so even if he wins, but I think it's going to have to be, he's going to have to win his next 2. He's going to have to go 6 for 12. If he's 6 for 13, 6 for 14, that ain't going to work. 6 for 12, I think he may make a strong case. A strong case. Because with 6, that ties him up championships-wise. His numbers are better than Jordan's. He has to win both Finals MVP. He's got to get 6 Finals MVPs as well. He's going to play more All-Star games. He already has played more All-Star games. The only thing that Jordan has is Jordan's going to average more points than LeBron does. Career, playoffs, whatever, and all of that, regular season. LeBron, however, is averaging assists out the wazoo. He averaged over 10 assists this year. He was averaging a double-double with assists, not rebounds. You don't see that very often, especially not out of a guy that's 6'7" like he is. You may see it out of a point guard, but you don't see it out of guys like him. That's freaky. And obviously, his athletic ability is parallel to none. He's obviously the best in the league right now by far. And, a couple months ago when I was talking about this, I said Dame Lillard was the best. Dame Lillard was playing the best. But then Dame kind of choked coming down the stretch. When they played the Lakers, he just couldn't get it done. They kind of locked him up. But my point is, LeBron James put on a show. He did what he does best. He still needs to win more. But I do think the addition of AD, and I'm looking at AD stats here, AD in the finals averaged 25 points, 10.7 total rebounds, and 3.2 assists, along with 2 blocks a game. Those 2 blocks are huge. When you got a guy down low that's getting you 2, 3, maybe 4 blocks a game, that totally changes the way your defense works and adapts and surrounds the rest of the court, especially when you're going up a team like Miami. Miami's size is just non-existent. They had Bam, who was hurt for part of the series. He only played in 4 games. He missed a couple. And while he's going to be good and he will develop even more than he has already, and he's going to be a star in this league, he's still not that big physically. He's no AD. He's not that lanky, just big dude. He's not like that. He's strong. Don't get me wrong. He's very strong. But his build isn't quite like some of the bigger guys. So those 2 blocks a game with AD, and you got 2 guys over averaging double-digit rebounds, it's not really a fair matchup. And that proved true. That proved true in the finals. And that's why they got the job done. But LeBron, he's something. He's something else. He's something to witness. Let's move over to football. This is mainly what this podcast is going to be about. Football is back, and back better than ever. This year just seems a lot of crazy stuff's happened. You got COVID, and, a lot of injuries. What was it, 2 weeks ago, I think? There were injuries. I mean, injuries galore. Crazy much. Dudes were getting left and right. I mean, they were gone, especially the 49ers lost basically their whole team. Crazy stuff like that. But first off, I want to talk about Travis Kelce for a minute. Will Travis Kelce end his career as the greatest tight end ever? I was asked that earlier today, and I kind of want to touch on it. So far this year, he's had great numbers. Played 6 games, 5 touchdowns, 470 yards, 37 receptions. That's 12.7 yards a reception. That's freaky numbers. In his career, he's had 42 touchdowns, 544 receptions, 6,935 yards. Very impressive. To put it in perspective, I think he's played 106 games, I think is what I heard or saw. Antonio Gates, who played like 236 games maybe, or 200 plus, has 116 touchdowns. Tony Gonzalez, who played 200 plus games as well, has 111 touchdowns. And those two are probably, they're regarded as the two of the best two statistical wise. You got Gronk up there too. Gronk just didn't play enough or hasn't played enough seasons yet to really be in that category. I think he has 79 touchdowns, something like that. But the point of the story is Travis Kelce's on his way to being the greatest tight end of all time, especially if he keeps Patrick Mahomes there and he stays in Kansas City. I think there's no doubt that once his career's over, if he stays in Kansas City and Mahomes stays there, those are two big ifs. But if that does happen, like a Gronk and Tom Brady type thing, they're gonna win Super Bowls. He's gonna have so many daggone Pro Bowls, and he's on pace. I mean, he puts up he puts up wide receiver numbers, which is freaky. I mean, 5 touchdowns this year already through 6 games, 12.7 yards of reception this year, and that's his career too. Same exact 12.7 yards of reception in his career. As a tight end, usually tight end, they're getting like little 6-yard catches. They're not going deep like he is. He's running full on routes, deep routes. They're going deep to him. He plays like a wide receiver, which is only helps his case in becoming the best tight end of all time. Blocking wise, he may not be, but catching, receiving, he is definitely and will be the greatest tight end of all time. So moving on in football, we're going to come out with the first ever game-changing podcast power rankings. I give 5 teams. I'll give them each week my top 5. Coming in at number 5 right now, we have the Bucs. I think this is very self-explanatory, especially after their huge win against Green Bay. I sadly had Aaron Rodgers in fantasy, and he shit the bed. So, the Bucs D is one of the top defenses in the league. They have the smartest QB to ever play the game. They have Ronald Jones, who runs the ball like a beast. They have Mike Evans. They have Gronk. They have O.J. Howard. They have Godwin. I mean, they have so many offensive weapons to go along with Brady, and he knows how to manage them better than anybody else. That's what he does. He knows how to get the team together. He knows how to get the team to work. He finds ways to mold teams together so they can win. That's what he does. He takes your skill set and his skill set, and he puts them together to find the best possible combination. That's just what he does. He got that from Belichick. He's going to continue to do it for the rest of his career, however long it may be, 2, 3, 4 years, whatever it is. At number 4, we have the Chiefs. The Chiefs, they're 5-1 right now. They're still 4. A lot of you are probably saying it's a little low, but that's just the competition this year is great, especially at the top. There's a lot of weak teams this year, but there's a lot of really, really, really strong teams this year, which the NFL hasn't really seen in a while. They've seen, a couple great teams, and they've seen a lot of middle-tier teams lately, and then you're always going to have your bad teams. This year, there's a lot of bad teams. Well, maybe not a lot, but there's a good amount of bad teams, just like normal. But then the middle-tier teams, it's almost like they just got better. So then these great teams are having a lot of struggles. I mean, the Chiefs, they lost to the Raiders. Like, since when were the Raiders good? They are now. You got the Bills are good. The Chiefs just beat the Bills. in a convincing win that showed that they had control of their team. Travis Kelce had a great game, 2 touchdowns, like I just talked about. He's on his way to being the GOAT of tight ends. But that was a huge win for them. On to number 3, we have the Titans. And the Titans, I mean, they look as good as ever. They beat the Bills, they beat the Jaguars, they beat the Broncos, Vikings, Texans. The Texans, that was a close game, especially since the Texans sucked this year. And that game went to overtime, which is, that raises a question for why are they number 3 on the list. But their other wins, I mean, the Jaguars, they beat by 3. The Bills is the big win. That's the one that put them in the top 5. I mean, they were going to be in the top 5, but really projected them in the 3rd spot. They beat the Bills 42-16. That's something that doesn't happen very often. The Bills are a good, solid football team. They know what they're doing. They got a good quarterback in Josh Allen. Their defense looks good. They're going to be good in the future. This weekend, the Titans play the Steelers, who's my number 2 team. Well, I'll go into that in a second. But the Steelers-Titans game, I mean, you're not going to get a better matchup this year. That is an elite, 2 elite teams going against each other. It'll be interesting to see what happens. So at number 2, like I just said, we have the Steelers. Their defense is so good. It is so good. They don't know what to do with themselves. Their defense is so good. They get a ton of turnovers. They'll allow some points. It's not one of those defenses where you're like struggling to get 7 or struggling to get 10. The Browns only got 7 against them. That was 38-7. Like Mike Tomlin he's a good coach. I think he will go down as one of the best coaches of all time by far. He's really good on field situations. He's not the technician that Belichick is or something like that. He's not the master play caller like Andy Reid is. But I think he's a very complete sense of the game. And you don't always see that in coaches nowadays. You have a lot of coaches that are defensive oriented or offensive oriented because that's what they were before. They were either defensive coordinator, something like that, or the Giants who just hire special team guys for whatever reason. They continue to suck and they will. But you see a lot of guys that have very, very special and unique knowledge to the game, whereas Mike Tomlin, he's got it all. I'm not sure what he was before he was a head coach. I don't know. I haven't really looked at his background, but he's been a head coach long enough to where now he knows the whole game. And he knows the ways to win. And he's doing that currently. They're 5-0. And they'll continue to play. Again, that Steelers-Titans game this weekend. I'm really excited to see how Derrick Henry handles that Pittsburgh D and what happens there. I think that'll be interesting. Looking at the Steelers' schedule, they could easily lose a game or 2 in a row. They've got the Titans. I think the Steelers will win. Even though it's in Tennessee, which doesn't make a huge difference because there's not really many fans, but it still makes a difference. They have the Ravens the week after. So they got the Titans this weekend. They got the Ravens the next weekend. Then they go to the Cowboys and the Bengals. Those are 2 wins. And the Jaguars, you're going to have that taken care of. So at worst, they're 8-2 after 10 games. Then they play the Ravens again. I mean, Jesus, looking at the schedule, they could go undefeated. So they got the Bengals twice coming in. They got the Browns again, who they've already beat. They got the Jaguars. They got the Washington Redskins. Sorry, the Washington football team. They've got the Colts, solid squad. Solid squad in the Colts. They were one of our honorable mentions, along with the Ravens and the Packers. The Packers if the Packers game had been closer, they would have been in the 5 spot. But because I think they've had a better season than the Bucs, but the Bucs just wiped their floor the other day. But back to the Steelers, I mean, if they get through these Titans-Ravens games, these 2 coming up, it's going to be a breeze in. They may lose a game or 2. They play the Bills, who's a good team. But The Bengals aren't gonna beat them. I mean, Joe Burrow's good and all, but he ain't that good. I think a lot of y'all know where I'm going with number one. This is no surprise to anybody.
Yeah. Weezy out here.
Seattle Seahawks. They're the most consistent team in the NFL. They're such a good squad. Great coaching, Pete Carroll. Russell Wilson continues to do what Russell Wilson has always done, and that is be elite at all times. Russell Wilson, I think, is the most underrated quarterback in the league. I truly do. Everybody always talks about Mahomes. Everybody always talks about Tom Brady. And while Russell Wilson may not have won recently like those two have, Russell Wilson is I think, the second most talented quarterback behind Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is the most talent. Then it's Russell. Then it's Aaron. But Russell Wilson, he's the complete package of a quarterback. They say he's a great dude. You know, everything you want in a quarterback, he's got. Looking at their schedule, it's going to be tough. They got the Cardinals twice. The Cardinals are a solid squad. Kyler Murray can run all over the place. They got the 49ers, the Bills, the Rams, the Giants, the Washington football team. The Rams twice, actually, my bad. The Eagles, it'll be interesting to see how they finish the season. I think it could be a really good from here. Like, if they were to win a bunch of these games, maybe lose a couple, it would be a really successful season from here on in. But I think it could also be a really downgrading season from here on in. But their overall package is just too good to not make them the number one overall team. So I think that's all we're going to talk about today. It was a quick episode. I need to get some content out there. I know I appreciate all y'all's support. It means the world to me. Keep watching, tune in, DM me, on Instagram, whatever it may be. Message me what you want to hear about next. I'm open to anything. I'll do whatever you guys want. Travis Kelce's the GOAT. He's going to be. The Seahawks are the best team in the league, and congrats to the Lakers again. And next time we're going to talk about the World Series since I didn't really touch on that tonight. Dodgers-Rays. It's going to be good. I'm really excited for the series. So thanks for tuning in. I appreciate y'all. See you next time.